The Middle East is literally burning, and the world's economic pulse is fading. Right at the Strait of Hormuz, a total disaster zone. Way up north, things are falling apart in the epicenter of a 4-year grind called Ukraine. These messy spots are all collapsing because of one player, Iran. Tehran thinks they own the keys to that narrow little choke point. They are basically shoving the Americans into a corner right now. But out of the ruins, Kyiv shows up to crash the party. Kyiv just wrecked Iran's big victory plans in a single night. Look at this map. You and I can see the cracks forming. Ukraine is building a wall while everything else burns, stretching from the sand dunes to the oily waters of Hormuz. They are barely surviving at home, yet here they are. Kyiv is moving into the neighborhood to play the local bodyguard, protecting the rich kids and those billion-dollar American bases. Those scary red arrows from Tehran are hitting a brick wall now, smashed to pieces by battle-hardened Ukrainians. Boom. Mid-air disaster. The desert is getting 10,000 acoustic sensors, high-tech ears, made in Ukraine and tested in literal hell. 5 Ukrainian mine hunters are just waiting to hit the water, heading straight into the most dangerous waves on the face of the earth. Wild, right? But the old world order is changing. The writing is on the wall. Ukraine is throwing down its final cards to stop the bleeding, trying to fix a mess they did not even start. So how does this shield keep the sky from falling on us? From the waves to the clouds. Kyiv Air and Sea Game focuses on one thing: the Sky Map project they have set up in Saudi Arabia. The whole operation runs out of Prince Sultan Air Base. That is the main artery for the Americans in the region. This is not just some dusty airstrip. It is a massive hub where CENTCOM calls all the shots. Inside are those massive E-3 AWACS planes and tech worth a fortune. Billions of dollars in F-35 jets just sitting there. Plus a lucky 13 tankers keeping them all afloat. KC-135 tankers, flying gas stations for the fleet. Literally the lifeblood of the entire Air Force. Lose the AWACS, and the Americans are flying blind. Without the tankers, they are just expensive paperweights. The U.S. loses its grip on the sky. Game over. But even the best tech fails against cheap Iranian junk. Iran budget drones are making the fancy stuff look totally useless. Last March proved those fancy Patriots cannot hit a drone swarm. That dark night, an E-3 was almost hit, and the Pentagon went into total panic mode. They needed a desperate fix, and fast. That is when Ukraine stepped in. 4 years of brutal combat just tossed the old military rule book away. Forget clunky radars. We have 10,000 ears listening to every breath the sky takes. Built by the Sky Fortress crew, under that Brave One program. It is a weird marvel that started with cheap cell phone mics, but it is serious military hardware now. These sensors are hunting for the specific hum of drones too low for old-school radar to even spot. One sound and boom, data floods the AI command center like a digital wave. Plus, these things actually love the desert heat. You and I would melt, but these sensors do not flinch even in desert heat of 120 degrees or sandstorms thick enough to choke a tank. They are hidden in plain sight, behind dunes, or inside abandoned tents, even on the base fences. Basically everywhere you are not looking. Stealth is the only play. Thousands of audio streams get shredded by AI algorithms in a blink. It knows a bird from a Shahed 136 drone in a tenth of a second flat. The system has such perfect optimization that it knows to just ignore screaming desert winds or those loud generators on the base. SkyMap only cares about the frequency of the enemy engine. It does not just spot the threat. It maps out the route and speed of the whole swarm instantly. Red dots on the screen come with live video to prove it. Operators see everything. It is basically like having God mode. Then comes the fun part. Cheap, deadly interceptor drones that actually hit their marks. These tiny killers, like the American Coyote or the Ukrainian Mera Ops, hunt the swarm like a pack of wolves. Cheap drones shredding other cheap drones. It is poetic in a dark way. You and I are seeing history flip at Prince Sultan Air Base. To save their own bases, U.S. soldiers are taking notes from the Ukrainian experts who actually lived it. This is not just a tech demo or a handout. It is about 4 years of survival skills being handed over to the big guys. This team-up means Saudi skies are finally locked tight against anything Iran tries to send. If the peace breaks, and it always does, Iran's best weapons are going to slam straight into this Ukrainian shield and just vanish. They are not bragging about this on the news with fancy graphics. It is a silent wall. No noise, just results. Just imagine, we are watching threats dissolve before the first shot. My grand entrance, the panic Iran is brewing in the region, is being ruined, snuffed out by quiet missions that do not even make the nightly news. This silence is a real buzzkill for me, and the Saudi economy too. Every headline about a successful strike means billions of dollars go poof. Foreign investment just packs up and leaves. But Kyiv isn't just watching the skies to stop my glorious arrival. Now we look down at the water, those narrow, dangerous, and very tempting shipping lanes. This is the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most vulnerable oil artery. Using mines and speedboats, Iran holds this tiny gap over everyone's head. It's the perfect tool for blackmailing the entire global economy. Stealthy contact mines waiting in the dark for a little kiss. They can turn the world's biggest supertankers into scrap metal, into massive, beautiful fireballs in just seconds. Huge gas haulers and Saudi oil ships are just sitting ducks. The lifeblood of the Saudis is totally exposed in this tight waterway. Sinking one tanker starts a market earthquake. Iran knows exactly what they're doing. It would send oil prices through the roof and cripple the markets. Triple digits by morning. Over 20% of the world's oil squeezes through this tiny, dangerous gap. Risks are high, and insurance costs are getting absolutely out of hand. Now, Kyiv is bringing its brutal Black Sea experience to my playground. They're taking what they learned fighting the Russian Navy and bringing it here. The Ukrainian Navy is jumping into the mission to stop the fun. They want to clear the mines and make Hormuz safe again. 4 NATO-standard Ukrainian mine hunters are ready to ruin the party. They finished their training in the United Kingdom and they're coming for us. A 5th ship from the Netherlands is joining them to make things worse. This little fleet is getting way too powerful for comfort. We've got the British-built Cherkasy and its sibling, the Chernihiv, plus the Dutch and Belgian-made marvels, the Mariupol and the Melitopol. These high-tech ships are absolute experts at finding my little surprises. They sniff out deadly mines without even breaking a sweat. With zero magnetic signature, they're basically invisible to the mines. Using underwater robots and scanners, they see every scrap on the floor. They can map a tiny piece of metal at the bottom instantly. They glide like ghosts thanks to those fancy fiberglass hulls. They find a mine, send a robot down, and plant some explosives. Boom! Target destroyed from a safe distance. Operations that used to take weeks, now done instantly. It only takes a few hours, and nobody even gets hurt. Boring. Right now, Ukrainian officers are leading the show at the big table. They're the ones calling the shots for this whole operation. What they learned in the Black Sea is saving the world. They're out there keeping the world's energy flowing. How annoying. Right now, those Ukrainian officers are running the meetings that are stopping me. Ukraine is running this high-stakes operation, calling all the shots. Their navy is now the world's most elite mine-clearing force. After wrestling with thousands of Russian mines in the Black Sea, they are now cracking the Hormuz codes. Look, you and I are seeing them shield the Gulf from every direction, above and below the sea surface. Ukraine has built a totally impenetrable fortress here. But their moves and strategic vision do not stop there. In the background, a massive military tech transfer is taking place. This is a partnership that will last decades. Zelensky's March tour? You and I are watching it flip the script. The old security setup is changing right now. These visits were way more than just friendly meetings. Backed by the world's most battle-hardened army, Ukraine put a 10-year drone deal on the table. What really hooked Gulf leaders was Ukraine's bold attitude. They said, "We will be there tomorrow morning." No waiting months for some congressional approval process. Forget the slow red tape of Western states. Right now, over 200 Ukrainian drone experts are active. They are in the deserts of Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. This consultancy network is even spreading through Jordan. It is the first step toward a brand new doctrine. It is moving fast across the Middle East. These veteran soldiers are busy training the local forces. They teach every fine detail of modern drone warfare. They do it in real time. Plus, the state offers the Magura V5 and Sea Baby drone vessels. These Black Sea legends are now serving the Gulf nations. These elite naval drones hunt for mines on shipping routes. They guard commercial ships from any Iranian attacks. They patrol around oil tankers like invisible defense shields. If Iranian speedboats get close, they form a live wall, reaching 50 miles per hour around those supertankers. These drones can hunt using lethal wolf-pack tactics. When those infamous Iranian speedboats appear on the horizon, Magura drones can go full suicide. That forces the enemy to turn back immediately. Ukraine is even offering their Bayraktar TB2 skills. Everything integrates perfectly with those naval drones. It gives them perfect intel for finding aerial mines. These drones aren't just for defense, though. They will hit the enemy when needed. These systems are a massive deterrent in these waters. Total defense against those famous speedboats. Because of these real-world wins on the battlefield, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE are signing massive 10-year defense deals worth billions with the new guys. Think shared factories and high-tech electronic warfare software, plus AI-powered air defense systems. The entire Gulf is now running on Ukrainian tech. Ukraine isn't just a war zone anymore. It's moving up. It's becoming one of the world's biggest global security players. A totally new economic model. The most insane trade of the 21st century is happening right now. Kyiv is trading its battle-tested tech for cold, hard cash from the Gulf, plus endless energy and guaranteed ammo production too. You and I are watching the map change in real time. It is one of the most ironic moments in history. Picture Ukraine fighting for its life on its own land, holding the line against one of the world's biggest powers. Yet thousands of miles away, that same country is leading. They've become the key player fixing that massive Iranian crisis that's been giving the United States a headache for years. Rich oil nations are now lining up at Kyiv's door. They are ditching trillion-dollar Western systems for things that actually work. This U-turn shows the Gulf wants practical solutions that survived a real war. This isn't just about selling a few guns. It's proof the global South and the Middle East are shifting. They've finally found a different way to stay safe. Tested in blood and fire on the front lines. This tech is crushing the same asymmetric threats that Iran spent billions of dollars trying to build. Kyiv isn't just some victim asking for help anymore. They're acting like a tech superpower now, exporting the world's smartest weapons instead of just asking for help. But they aren't just doing it for the clout. They're scoring massive funding and energy security to rebuild everything. They're using Gulf money to turn their country around. A nation that once begged for bullets in the dark is now sending the bill to the world's oil kings. Smart move. Really, really smart. The biggest loser in this whole collapse? No question. It is definitely Moscow. Russia spent years pretending to be the only alternative to Washington. Now their air defense market is basically disappearing. It's a total nightmare. Moscow is losing its best customers to the very people they're fighting on the front lines. Even Washington's pride and its pilots' safety now depend on the skills and tools of cheap drones and sensors coming out of Eastern Europe. You and I can hear the message this sends the world. It proves the old ways of war are dying. You don't win by being big and expensive anymore. The winner is smart, cheap, and battle-hardened. The Gulf finally gets a break while the rest of the world crumbles. Thanks to Ukraine's new drone tech, the global balance of power is being shredded and rewritten forever. You and I have to wonder, how will Ukraine reshape this mess? Rising from the ashes, they are now a massive military hardware exporter. Can they actually fix this mess, or just sell more matches to the fire? Will Iran start blowing up the military toys Ukraine sent to the Gulf? Or will this entire disaster just evaporate into thin air soon? We want your thoughts down below. For your long journey through the wreckage, join us on Spotify. That is where we turn our video stories into your soundtrack. Brought to you by TGN. Thanks for sticking around.